Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Selby series. Selby is one of 11 subdivisions of the county of North Yorkshire. It's made up of 74 civil parishes, a lot of which are very small. Which one are we in this week? Welcome back to Selby, everybody. I'm struggling to keep a straight face right now because Nikki has just cracked a joke that you really do not want to hear. I'm telling you now.
I'm just ruining his childhood.
Yeah, basically.
No. Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to know. If you want to know, message me. Anyway, this is Escrick. This Selby episode is sponsored by Past Days, a family history blog by June Terrington. You'll find a link in the description. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Escrick lies right on the boundary between Selby and York. In fact, where today's main walk begins is pretty much on that boundary. It's roughly equidistant between the two major towns. You might recall me mentioning the Escrick moraine in an East Riding episode or two before. That's to do with the last ice age. Escrick sits at what was the southernmost limit of glaciation in that era. When the ice retreated, a deposit known as a terminal moraine was left behind in the form of a ridge. It's this ridge which gives the village its name, as Escrick may mean Ash Ridge. Escrick is noted for an Anglo-Saxon gold ring. Called the Escrick Ring, it was discovered in a field via a metal detector in 2009 and was acquired by the Yorkshire Museum for £35,000. An estate village, Escrick Hall was built between 1680 and 1700. Associated with the estate are the names Lawley, Thompson and Wenlock. Confusingly, they're all the same family. The layout of Escrick has changed considerably over the years. Its whole position has migrated north, the former site of the village becoming the grounds of Escrick Hall. Its main street once passed the hall but now stops at the gates. Two bypasses were created to compensate. One would become Skipwith Road, while the other would become the modern A19. This is the village which migrated north. Let's see how the land lies today. Our journey around Escrick begins at the church, quite the unique feature in this place. Dedicated to St Helen, this is a much more modern church than ones we're used to seeing. A church has stood here since 1783, having replaced a 13th century building situated to the west of Escrick Hall. It was rebuilt in 1857 at the expense of Paul Bilby Lawley Thompson, the first Lord Wenlock. It was designed in Victorian Gothic style by the architect Francis Penrose. There's a number of memorials and effigies inside to the Wenlocks. The church has a peal of 12 bells, and in the churchyard we've got the World War I memorial. This is dedicated to those from Dayton as well as Escrick. We'll see where the World War II memorial is in a while. On the southern wall of the church there's this little recess which took our attention. We thought there might be a tomb on the other side, or perhaps maybe a window which has been blocked up. Right, so this church is apparently open. You have to push that door quite firmly. So says the sign on the handle. So we're going to go in and we're going to see what we can find in here. I love exploring churches like this. So we've got a light switch here. Do we need it on? That's helped a little bit.
Oh wow, this is beautiful. There's a tomb over there as well.
Hey, you might find out what that little bit of architecture was about as well. In fact, I'm going to go down and find where that was. Let's see if we can see. Well, there doesn't appear to be anything on the other side, although there is a plaque here which is about where it was. George and Mary Jane Whitehead of Dayton Grove. The chancel stalls are the gift of their children. Okay, so nothing to do with what was outside, but that's interesting enough. I also noticed as well when I walked in, this here is an effigy. Let's see who this guy is. Or is it... monument is the work of Count Gleichen, greatly damaged by fire in 1923, dedicated by Bilby Richard, 2nd Lord Wenlock, to the memory of his mother, Caroline, daughter of 2nd Lord Braybrook, born 6th October 1792, and died the 2nd of May 1868.
Wow, look at this carving. Coming right close, look, you can see it looks like lace, but it's actually been intricately carved out. It's
that
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's quite something.
It's amazing. Okay. Did you spot anything down here?
Yeah, there's looks like a font up on the top there.
There's another board here. That's to do with Baron Wenlock as well. It's very echoey in here.
With Constance's wife.
There's plenty of mentions of the Wenlocks in here, isn't there?
Yeah.
So we'll probably learn a bit more about that as we carry on around the village. Anything down here? The font, you said?
Looks like a font, yeah.
Oh, there's all sorts at this end.
And then like a sort of a little bowl in the middle.
Yeah. It's to do with the school. Escrick Longsword. The Escrick Longsword. What's that one is at home? There's another board over here which might explain it. Oh, it's a dance.
Yeah.
Ah, right, so it died out in the 1850s. It survived and still dances today thanks to Cecil Sharp. And this is...
It's a folk dance.
It's a folk dance, yeah.
It's done like by sort of Morris men or similar.
I thought that was a Cornish thing myself.
No, Morris men can very well. And here there's an effigy of medieval knights believed to be of Roger de la Salle's Lord of the Manor of Escrick, who died circa 1300. And you can definitely see that that's a knight.
Absolutely.
You can see the chainmail.
Yeah,
and
chainmail.
Again, when you look very closely at the carving, you can see the intricate sort of details of the chainmail that have been carved in as well. It's beautiful.
I'm glad.
People like this are so talented. I wish I could sculpt, I really do.
I'm glad I put the lights on now. Right, let's carry on exploring the village. One of the most interesting parts of Escrick would be next to and around the back of the church. You'll find some allotments here, that'll keep the fans happy. There's also a rather large orchard. Nikki was adamant there'd be some plums and some damsons in here somewhere. Apparently, it's a tradition within an orchard. Who knew, eh? Here's the surgery too. Remember the surgery in North Duffield? This is another one of those that belong to the same practice, covering the north of Selby and the south of York. At number 4 Main Street is the Fat Abbot, which these days is set in the grounds of the Parsonage Hotel and Spa, a notable, popular wedding venue for local couples. These buildings are all part of the hotel complex. The building that houses the hotel dates back to the early 1840s, maintaining many of its original features. So this is the parsonage, which looks
Beautiful.
rather grand, don't you think? Plenty of grand buildings here in Escrick. This is quite cool. This is the Diamond Jubilee Fountain. Not for our current Queen, but rather for Queen Victoria. It was erected in 1897 and the sculptures upon it are dolphins. Continuing down Main Street, we come to the old post office and general store. This has only recently closed, having done so in 2014. There's now a pop-up post office in the village hall. The old pillar box is still here though. On top of that, we've got some lovely yarn bombing. This is, I think, Dougal from the Magic Roundabout. That brought back a few childhood memories. Next up is a parish notice board, one which was open too. Escrick's visit means we are now in single figures for Selby. There's only 9 left to go. Turning around, we see this building. This is not the village hall or a club, despite what that sign says. These are a set of 5 almshouses built in 1904. And there's a plaque above that door, which we're going to have a little look at. Although I'm not totally sure if this is legal, but we'll do it anyway. Get me being rebellious. More to do with the Wenlocks.
Yeah. Looks like the building was constructed in memory of.
Yeah. You can just about see the village hall here over the tennis courts at Escrick Tennis Club, which is next door. It was extended and refurbished thanks to a lottery grant of £144,000 in 2008. Here we have a redundant bus shelter. Buses don't stop here any longer, but you can catch the 415 on the A19. This is now the village's World War II memorial. That's what the plaque is on the inside. Next is Escrick and Dayton Club, which was built in 1908. During World War I, this was used as a wartime NCO hospital. Recently, there have been calls to operate a village shop from here. Main Street then crosses Bridge Dyke. The bridge we're on here dates from 1776, when it was rebuilt. It has a stone on it which reads BT, referring to Selby Thompson. With the entrance to Escrick's primary school away to our right, we have the Coronation Memorial Seat, built to commemorate the coronation of King George VI in 1937. So this area of Escrick is full of what Nikki calls chocolate box houses. You've heard that term far too much. But you know, you can't deny it. It's absolutely spot on when you look at some of the properties in question. There's a pub there. Let's catch that next. Escrick's other pub is the Black Bull, which as you can see is not open at the moment. It's my understanding that finding a buyer for the pub is proving quite a challenge. And that's as far as Main Street now goes. Here are the gates to Escrick Hall and we can go no further. It's a left turn then along a footpath towards Gashouse Wood. Gashouse Wood is so named as Escrick Hall's gasworks were constructed here in the 1860s. Some 30 years earlier, a duck decoy was built in here. The remains can still be seen on overhead images. So it's not really warm today, but even so, the sun is out and it's shining quite nicely down on us. And it does occasionally get warm, doesn't it? Yeah. So the cover of these trees for the next 5 or 10 minutes is actually a good thing. It's kind of handy, this path too, because it takes us round in a nice little circle. You can go the other way. I will just mention there's like a fork in the path. If you go that way from the entrance, the plantation goes for quite a long way. So if you did fancy a longer walk, then by all means go for it. But we're just nipping through here so I can mention it and head back to the village to find the next landmark. This is the village green, a massive area established in 1997 as part of the Cars Meadow development. It has a central pond with a footbridge which Nikki tried out. Ignore her dance moves. The village green is let on a long lease to the parish council from Escrick Park Estate. The Village Green Association looks after this area. The land previously formed part of a paddock and a sawmill that were owned by the estate. There are 8 townhouses opposite the village green where the estate's old farm buildings used to be. At one of the corners, there's a flagpole. Okay, we're pretty much all the way around the route now. All I've got to do is turn left at this junction, and that takes us back up to Dower Chase, which is where I park the car. Nikki, you can actually shortcut the route a little bit because I want to go round another street which comes off this. I forget the name of it, but you'll see in a minute what it's called. And I'll catch a few more residential areas, and that's basically the main walk done. Now, one thing that this main walk has completely missed out, because I couldn't fit it in, was the playing fields, but that's going to be in today's picture bit, which is coming at you right now. So what of Escrick Hall, the building behind the estate and the parkland? Well, we can't get up really close and personal to it, but we can at least see it. The hall has been part of a school since 1949. Queen Margaret's School is an independent boarding school and day school for girls aged 11 to 18. The school was named after Queen Margaret, who was Queen of Scotland from 1070 to 1093. Queen Margaret's was originally established in Scarborough in 1901 by the Woodard Foundation, who established boarding schools where teaching was firmly based on Christianity. Nowadays, it's quietly doing great things. Girls who attend this school achieve top grades at A-level, perform for the National Youth Theatre, and even play lacrosse for the England under-19s. Speaking of sport, the Yorkshire Gentlemen's Cricket Club is along here too. This is as close as I can get to the hall, by the way. Beyond this point, the road is private and for school business only. And there you have it. That is the parish of Escrick. I thoroughly enjoyed this one. There's been quite a lot to see, quite a lot to learn about in this place. Wasn't that great inside the church? All those monuments to the Wenlocks and those gorgeous effigies and all that intricate carving. Absolutely fantastic. This is why I do the channel. This is why I do this, so that you can see all this brilliant, gorgeous stuff that's just not out there. It's not out there on YouTube, certainly not. It might be in other places on the internet, but you know, that's the beauty of this channel. It puts all that kind of thing in the spotlight, and I love doing it. Time for me to move on to my next one here in Selby. There's not many left now, and the next one's quite small, but it does have quite a bit of history to talk about in and of itself. I'll join you there next week. I've been Andy, otherwise known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of Escrick, and I'm out.